Hello and welcome. Today we're going to deal with verb patterns. And these are verbs followed by two infinitival forms or ing forms. Let's start. Let's start by verbs which are followed by two infinitival forms. And here you've got a list. So we use these infinitival forms after certain verbs. For instance, the verb afford or agree. I can't afford to buy a new car, or we agreed to meet tomorrow. Now we can also use with these verbs where you see the asterisk, the pattern verb, object, or to infinitive. For instance, the verb ask. I asked my students to have a seat. My students being the object. Or these verbs marked as one, for instance the verb arrange, where you can use the pattern verb for object and to infinitive when the infinitive needs a subject. That is, the teacher arranged for them to have a new date for the exam. That would be in Spanish our equivalent for la profesora arregló que ellos tengan una nueva fecha para el examen. Que ellos would be in English for them. Now, certain verbs are followed not by two infinitival forms but by ing forms. For instance, the verb enjoy. I enjoy cleaning my house, or I enjoy spending time with my family. Now, these verbs where you see the asterisk, they can also be followed by an object and ing form. So, for instance, we say, can you imagine her wearing that dress? With sense verbs, we use ing when they have an object. For instance, I discovered him hiding behind the curtains. With the verbs advise, follow, forbid, and permit, we use ing when there is no object, but a two infinitival form when they do have an object. And such is the case of the verb advise. The doctor advised taking a course on antibiotics, or the doctor advised him to take a course on antibiotics. Some verbs can also be followed by two infinitival forms or ing forms with no difference in meaning. The verb start is a good example. After a while, they started to hate each other, or we can also say they started hating each other. But we avoid two infinitives together. So we don't say he wanted to start to take lessons, but we say he wanted to start taking lessons. Please pay special attention to suggest and recommend. These verbs are indeed followed by ing forms, but they can also be followed by a that clause. When the suggestion is general, we say he suggested taking extra lessons, or he recommended taking extra lessons. But when there is a subject involved, that is, when there is somebody we want to make this recommendation for involved, we use a that clause. And so we say, he suggested that I should take extra lessons. So the suggestion is for me. Or he recommended that we get more exercise. And the suggestion is for us. We never say he suggested me to take extra lessons, or he recommended us to get more exercise. That is, we never use object pronouns or objects after suggest or recommend. Now, you also must pay special attention to ing and to infinitival forms with certain verbs which have different meaning when used in one way or another. Such is the case of the verb forget and remember. If we use forget followed by an ing form, we mean that we are forgetting an earlier action. So if we say, do you remember going to school for the first time? Do you remember going to school for the first time? That would be our equivalent in Spanish for, ¿te acordás de haber ido a la escuela por primera vez? ¿O te acordás cuando fuiste a la escuela por primera vez? Or with forget, I'll never forget meeting him. Nunca voy a olvidar haberlo conocido. But with a to infinitival form, the meaning changes. I must remember to set my alarm clock tonight and don't forget to lock the back door. That makes reference to a future lesson, something that I should forget or remember to do in the future. Debo recordar poner la alarma. No te olvides de cerrar la puerta trasera. Same happens with verb stop. If we say they stopped making fax machines, that means that the action finished. But if we say we stopped to get petrol, that means that one action finishes in order to do something else. Dejaron de hacer máquinas fax. Paré para conseguir combustible. Paré para, stop to. Pararon de, stopped making. With try, there's also a different meaning. If we go for try plus ing, this means that we do something to see what will happen. Try using a screwdriver to get the lid off. Probá usar. If we go for the pattern try plus to infinitive, this means that we have to make an effort to do something difficult. We tried to get tickets, but the show was sold out. Tratamos de conseguir, pero estaban agotados. Tratamos de. With sense verbs, I can have ing, verb, object plus ing, if I mean that the action is in progress or repeated. I saw a mother slapping her child. This means that I'm watching the whole scene. We can paraphrase this as, I saw a mother who was slapping her child. So I see the action repeatedly or in progress. But when I see a portion of the action, or when I make reference to the complete action, I will go for the pattern verb, object, infinitive without to. I saw a mother slap her child. This means that the slapping event was not repeated. Vi una madre abofetear a su hijo. Y vi a una madre abofeteando a su hijo. Thank you very much for watching. Again, please refer back to your Michael Swan and Advanced Learners Grammar to complete this lecture. Thank you very much for watching and see you. Goodbye.